Good evening and welcome to our January 21st, 2025 Angels Camp City Council meeting. Roll call.
Mayor Shemente,
Present.
Vice Mayor Sharado,
Present.
Councilmember Moncada,
Present.
Councilmember Berlio,
Present.
Councilmember Behill.
Here.
Staff is present.
Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
During closed session, we gave direction to staff. Moving on to item 6, approval of the agenda as posted or amended. Steve?
I do have one. I would like to pull item 9B and postpone that for another meeting. I got some information right before this meeting started that I'm not comfortable with it moving forward. I'd like to do a little more work on this item before we act on it.
Okay. And item 9B was approving an agreement between the City of Angels and PG&E for PG&E's use of some grazing ground. With that, do we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none? Any public comment?
On the agenda.
On the agenda. On the agenda. Okay. I'm sorry. I'll be
Public
clear.
and comment.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the approval of the agenda. Rose?
Councilmember Behill,
Yeah.
Councilmember Berlio.
Aye.
Councilmember Moncada,
Aye.
Mayor Shemente,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sharado.
Aye.
Thank you.
Now moving on to item 7, public comment. The public may address the council on any item of public interest not otherwise on the agenda. That city, no action may be taken. Matters to be addressed may be referred to city staff or placed on a subsequent meeting agenda. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes per person. Is anyone wishing?
Yeah, I'd like to speak.
Sir.
I'm Lance Rankin from Angels Camp. Good afternoon. This has to do with our fire preparedness. With the recent devastating fires in Southern California and Pacific Palisades, I'm concerned how prepared we might be in the event of a conflagration that could occur within the city limits. I would like to ask the city council, City of Angels Camp, if they could conduct an in-depth analysis and assessment of our fire suppression capabilities in the event of a serious multiple structure fire conflagration. This assessment should include our firefighting capabilities and equipment in the event of a widespread fire event, not just a single structure fire. I would like to see it also include an assessment of our water pressure delivery to our fire hydrants, which was a problem down in Southern California. And so that would be needed for suppression of multiple fires at different structures within the city. And if it could be done and reviewed by the city council to see if there needed to be any improvements or if there should be something that's taken. So the concern is, I think with, we live in Greenhorn Creek, we have a pretty extensive fire hydrant system, but the concern is if there isn't enough water available, they could be hooked up to and there's no pressure. Like what happened in Southern California, the hoses just went out because you're trying to fight so many structure fires. So I think an assessment of it would be good to just see where we stand both with our water delivery, our equipment. We rely a lot on CAL FIRE. We've had a couple of incidents that fortunately were quelled rather quickly because of CAL FIRE and our proximity, I think, to Columbia. that these fires that can start outside of our boundaries, and we have quite a lot of area right outside our boundaries that have a lot of vegetation and fire hazard, that if it gets going and there's winds, it could be embers that fly into the city boundaries. And there is a number of areas. We had the one fire in the park that raced up the side there and got one structure. There's that area on the right side of there by the bank, that field and everything that's down there with, looks like junk cars and stuff, that it seems to have a lot of high grass and a lot could be raging through there. So that's why I would just think it would be good to do an assessment to see where we stand to do it. That's all I'm asking.
Thank you. Thank you. We will ask staff to work with, and I don't, I'm probably gonna get in trouble here, but just to let you know, I met with Jessica Self, who's the manager of UPUD, and I know that Steve has been invited to a tri-county meeting to talk about water resources tri-county wide based on what happened down south and to develop a plan. That plan, I'm not sure the particulars of that plan, but clearly we can have our staff come back and make a presentation.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. It just so happens that just today, I was invited to a meeting of a majority of the water agencies, the managers of these water agencies between Tuolumne, Calaveras, and Amador County, just for this purpose, to see what are the capabilities of the separate water systems that we all have within these three counties, and if there is some type of an emergency, what can we do to help each other out, make sure that water pressure remains constant, available, and adequate to engage in suppression operations within the fire department. So I believe that meeting is either next week or the week after, but I thank you for bringing it up because it is something that is on our minds and something that we do plan to address.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
We do have one online as well,
Okay, thank you.
just so you know.
Thank you.
Patricia Harkins.
Yep.
From Angels, right here on the corner. First thing, I'd like to address what this gentleman brought up. There's also areas in Angels Camp, the old areas, that have one exit and only one exit. And if there is a fire in that area, people can get caught. So along with that assessment, there needs to be, and I think you have mentioned it before several months back, that you were looking at, and I just want to make sure that hasn't been dropped.
No,
No, it's not.
no.
Paradise is an example of one way out and what happened. But there are some really tight areas and just, they're sitting there with one way out and they're all going to be trying to get out at the same time if something happens. That's just all I wanted to address about his, to add on to it. The other thing is, there's a broken board on the bench right out front of the fire station. Who do I tell it to so it can get fixed? It's right on the seat.
Steve?
Me.
Okay,
Yes.
there's a broken board, Steve.
Thank you.
I sat on it before the meeting when I got here, because I walked over. And I sat down and I was like, oh, there's a broken board. I'll just ask where do I go? Okay, thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience? If not, online, Rose?
Trevor?
Yeah, hi, my name is Trevor Turner. I work for Pacific Gas and Electric in the Line Department. I also have Justin Norwood here from our construction line department. I just wanted clarity on that item 9B. Did you have a question on that, or what was the need for the delay?
Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Hi, Trevor. Thank you for being here tonight along with, is it Justin? Yes. So,
Yes.
yeah, I appreciate you both being in attendance, but I received some information right before this meeting started that causes me to pause. I want to do a little more research on this before I ask the council to act on it. I don't anticipate it taking more than what is necessary for it to be on the next agenda, which will be February 4th. So I apologize for you taking the time to be here tonight to not have it acted on, but I would look for it on the February 4th agenda.
Okay, sounds good. Should I look to hear from you maybe in the coming days over the matter?
Yes, I will call you.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks. I'll follow up on that.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Hearing no one else online, Lois?
Nobody.
Okay, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. Does any member of the council want to pull an item? Does any member of the public want us to pull an item for further discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Rose?
Behill.
Aye.
Berlio.
Aye.
Moncada. Shemente.
Aye.
Sharada. Aye. Thank you.
Moving on to item 9, our regular agenda. Item A, Rural Recreation and Tourism Program, Utica Park Lightner Mine Expansion Project update. I'm assuming Steve is going to update us.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Amy, our contract city planner, is not able to be here tonight. So I just want to take this opportunity to give you just a little bit of an update, probably not as in-depth as it would be if she was giving it. And by the way, I do want to take just a minute to thank Amy. I mean, she has managed this project, but it's moving along. You can see progress out there every day. We have meetings. I want to thank not only Amy, but Boyer Construction and Dante's out there. I go out there every day that I'm here and just see what's happening, talk to who's out there, and it's impressive the amount of work that they're able to do. So you can see in the staff report the specific things that have been accomplished since your last meeting, and I do want to add what's not in the staff report is council asked us to contact a veterans group in town to see if they were willing to contribute towards the flagpole light, and Amy was able to do that. She contacted Tony Tyrell, and they have verbally committed to the $3,800 for the light specifically to light the flagpole, so that's great news. Other than that, I can answer any questions that you have.
Scott, any questions?
No questions. I'm good. I'm happy with the improvements and
I am too.
everybody's
It's
doing a really
cool.
good job. Thank you.
I saw them working over the weekend, actually, so that's impressive.
Carolyn?
No, I'm just, I see them working when other people are not working on weekends and such, so I know that they're working to hit that deadline. That's fine.
I did see some kids that had obviously jumped the fence, it may have been Sunday. I just want to make sure we have correct signage up that says, do not enter, et cetera.
Okay.
We should ask Boyer to do that, because it's
Just
still their
to-
property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I said they weren't kids, they were teenagers, but still.
Thank you.
And don't post your photos on Instagram.
Yeah.
Picture in there too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before I open it up to the public, is there any other discussion amongst council members regarding the bocce court? There was Amy had given us the difference between the shells and the turf. Is that something that we want to consider at a later date or postpone? What direction would we like to give Amy on that? Scott?
I have an opinion on that. Yeah, I think we should go with the oyster shell for now, and let's see how it works and see how the maintenance, see how it works. And if it works fine, great. If not, then we'll need to look at an alternative.
I did call Amy and talk with her, and when you do the typical size of a bocce court, times 2 divided by the number of yards, that turf was like over $150 a yard. And so I asked Amy, why was it so expensive? And so she was gonna get us some additional information, but I appreciate that, Scott. I think waiting and making a determination at a later date makes good sense. Any members of the public like to talk about this?
Bocce or the park?
The park, or whatever you like.
In the
Well,
park.
it's gonna be about
Gotta
the
be
park.
part.
It's gonna be about the park.
It's about the park. Okay. First of all, the benches that were made out of the walnut trees, they looked amazing. Now, these benches don't have backs to them. It's a concern for me because if I'm gonna be there, I tend to take friends, children to the park and stuff. And so now that I'm able, I can do it more than I did before. But a back, when I'm sitting there, after a while, just kind of sitting, and you tend to more hunch when there's no back for you to sit up straight and lean on. I just wondered if there were going to be backs put on some of the benches, is one thing.
I believe that there's some memorial benches already there in place that aren't going anywhere that do have backs.
The metal benches?
Yeah.
Okay, those are
Yeah.
great. I use them all downtown. I like those. The other thing I wanted to bring up is the shading for the playground. This is crucial. Even at 80 degrees, the metal in the playground, the play area, will raise above a temperature to be usable. The shading is necessary. It's gonna take decades for any of the trees, which I looked at the plan that was in the agenda for this meeting. There is no trees sited around the play area. So that means there's not even a tree that's gonna grow to shade it, which makes the shading even more crucial. But I think the shading is more important than landscaping because plants and trees can't get put in until end of May, June with the weather. And you don't plant things in the cold or when it's gonna freeze. So we've got a few months on that. But my idea was the benches are being sold. People can purchase them, right, as a memorial. And so are the trees. So I feel the trees, the money raised from selling the trees could go to the landscaping. But the money from the benches, which was earmarked to go for landscaping, continued landscaping, should go towards the shading, the money that's needed to get the shading in for that park. Because without that shading, you're gonna open a glorious park and the play area for the children, which to me is the most important piece, is gonna be unusable. And I just don't want to see that happen. But if we have a summer like last year, there's a chance that even the shading is not going to help.
I don't think any kids will be in the park at 112 degrees.
That's true, but hopefully we won't get hit like that. And I checked it out and I can't remember the number, but I do know it was at 80 degrees, the metal would raise into the low 90s, 88 to 91, I think it was, in that range. You just can't play on it that way. And it also, the sun on those ropes and the other part of the playground area, when the sun beats on it long enough, it wears down quicker. So we need something to maintain it, to keep the life longer, and to let the children play. And that's all I have to say.
I appreciate your concerns and comments, and I believe it will become a future agenda item as we move forward for the completion of the park. Because we know that is a level of concern out in the community. So it's something that we will be talking about. So thank you for that.
I have to open my mouth.
Okay, so we are tabling item 9B and moving on to item 9C, approval of an employment agreement between the City of Angels and Michael Clark for the position of Building Fire Code Enforcement Officer. Steve.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, council members. Before you tonight is a request to consider an employment agreement between City of Angels and Michael Clark for the position of Building Fire Code Enforcement Officer. It's been the history and tradition in the City of Angels Camp that exempt employees in addition to their exempt memorandum of understanding. They also have individual employment agreements with the city. So in keeping with that history, I didn't want to have one exempt employee not have an employment agreement when all of the other ones
That's
do.
why.
So I bring this to you tonight as a consideration, just to be consistent with the other members of the group. The specifics of the agreement are in line with the other members of your exempt group, labor group, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Scott?
The only issue I had was, under vacation, I just wanted to make sure that there's a cap on the accrued vacation.
There is.
I didn't see that in here, but I guess it refers to an MOU.
Correct.
So,
It does, yes.
okay.
Sullivan?
No, we good.
No, my question was why, but he just answered that.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know either. Thank you. Caroline?
I don't have any questions.
I don't have any questions, but I have a comment. I saw Michael interact with one of our local contractors, and I think, Michael, you are really going to be an asset in our city. You have a history and knowledge of our local contractors, and they have a view from your previous employer, and I'm really looking forward to what you can bring to our city in those areas.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just echo your thoughts. I've seen him interact with people in the office. I've heard conversations that he's had with people. He's represented the city well, all three aspects, the fire, the building, and the code enforcement. I've been very happy with him coming on board, and thank you, Michael, for joining Angels Camp.
Thank you, sir.
Prior to asking for a motion, is there any public comment on this item? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So, yep.
Good motion.
Okay, so there's been a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Any other discussion? Public? Hearing none. Rose?
Behill.
Aye.
Brolio.
Yes.
Moncada. Shemente.
Aye.
Sharada.
Aye.
Thank you.
That's me. Number 10, administration report.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. It's going to be a short meeting, so I will make this part short as well. Everything's going well. I don't have much to report.
What-
Oh, you can go out that way.
You guys can wait, we'll just pause for a
You
moment.
can go.
that way.
You can go out this way.
Come on.
Don't worry about
You're
it. You're
You're only gonna
good.
see on camera.
Have a good night.
Keep us here in the round.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you guys for attending, I appreciate it.
See you later.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, our 218 process, we have about 2 weeks left before our scheduled public hearing. I would invite the public again to join us for our public workshop, which is scheduled for Wednesday, January 29th at 6 p.m. In this building. And then the public hearing is scheduled for the following Tuesday. To date, we have had 5. We've had 5 written protests of our 1,800 customers, so that's very good. I have heard some concerns about the water rate study and some pass-through language that is in the letter that went out to the public. And I will tell you that I have been assured by both our water rate consultant as well as our attorney's office that everything is legally compliant. Could we do things differently? We could do different things differently, but it is perfectly legal, it's legitimate, it's defensible as we stand. I do plan to bring you some options at the February 4th meeting if you want to go down a different road, but we are scheduled for a public hearing on February 4th, and there are many things that could be done at February 4th. Perhaps we have a public hearing, we hear from the public, and you take action, and it's done from there. That could be a legitimate option, and that's how it's currently scheduled. We could postpone the hearing for another date. We could start a new 45-day process. There are lots of things. We could adjust the language in the letter if you want to make the language different. There are a number of things that could be done. And to say that we've only had 5 written protests at this time, that's consistent with I believe what our partner in Murphy's, UPUD, I think they had just a couple more of that by the time it's all over. So we're not out of line with other agencies going through similar processes. So I'm comfortable moving forward as we are right now. If any member of the public has any questions about the water rate study or the pass-through language that's in the letter, please call me, 736-2185. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Send me an email. If I don't know the answer, I will get the answer for you, whether I refer to the legal or another expert in the field. Please don't go through this, I'm speaking to the public, with questions unanswered. Don't make assumptions. Let me get the information for you if you have questions about the rates, the process. I will give you all the information that I have, and again, if I don't know it, I will find the answer and provide it.
Thank you, Steve.
Can I ask?
Yeah, you bet.
So I had brought up that of having a live stream. Will we have that for anyone who's not in attendance? Just I don't expect people to be able to make comments on it, but at least so they can tune in and hear what's going on. I think right now it's crucial for people to understand what's happening. So will we have that?
Thank you for reminding me. I did confirm that we will have a link to both the public workshop on Wednesday, January 29th, as well as the public hearing on Tuesday, February 4th. On our website will be a link. If you don't want to come here in person, you can click on that link and watch us go through the process. Ask questions if you want to ask questions. Those links will be available for both of those meetings.
And we will be asking Sam to be here to videotape as well.
Okay. And then will we also have some real life scenarios so people can actually see the numbers?
Michelle is doing a great job of preparing for next week, and she's shown me little snippets of what's to come, and I think you will be completely satisfied with the presentation.
And afterward, will we be able to post those on our website?
Absolutely.
And Facebook and all that, so people are seeing.
As much information as we can get out there, we will make the effort to do that.
Thank you.
Including the information presented on the 29th. And our attorney, as well as our water rate consultant, will be at both of those meetings, the public workshop as well as the public hearing.
In person or on video?
I'll be here in person. I don't know. I will
Mike
confirm.
will be in person.
Great.
In person.
I would prefer him to be here in person.
Yeah.
We do currently have some information on our website, so we'll expand on that and add more to it. So-
Great.
I do have one more thing. Just like I thank Danny with the park, Michelle and Rose, they've done a great job. They are prepared and have done a lion's share of this work, and I want to thank you guys for what you've done with this process.
Is the rate study now on the website, or is it just on demand?
It is not. The consultant intends to have the final rate study prepared at the January 29th meeting. Yes.
Just leave it
Start playing
on.
I keep going back. It may not be the final rate study because, as our consultant has told us, oftentimes this rate study changes throughout the process leading up to the 45 days, but he will have the most recent version of the study available at the January 29th meeting, and it may change between then and the February 4th meeting, but we will have something written available at the January 29th meeting.
I have a question on that. So the final, or not final, but a draft with narration and justification for numbers will be ready by the 29th, and we're voting on the 4th. Is that enough time to justify or to be transparent enough to let everybody do that?
Legally, yes. Yeah. What you have to do is, within the 45 days, you have to give notice of the rates and really only the maximum rate. So you could decide on something less than the maximum. The rate study justifies the rate, but it shows proportionality, which is all that's needed for it to be legally compliant. If that makes sense.
Yeah, sometimes the difference between legal and transparent. I just want to make sure people.
And I
have
think
an
that's why
opportunity.
Steve is gonna give us those options
Yeah.
to extend. Alvin,
I was gonna say, just with the workshop coming up, and I was gonna ask about being prepared, but thank you ladies for doing that, being prepared, so I'll scratch that off my list. And then my only other thing is Steve was speaking to, the public. I would say if there's any organization out there, I know you went and talked to a gentleman, or we're going to, but if there's ACPA or DAC or anybody that wants to have a little more information, because I really want the proper information out there, not misinformation at this point. So please reach out to me or to Steve or the mayor or whoever. So thank you.
I've asked my questions.
Caroline?
They've all been answered.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions. Thank you, Steve. Council report. Scott?
No report.
I don't have any.
Alvin?
Nope, I'll attend LAFCO next week, and then just a reminder that the Bank of Stockton mixer, I know it's on our calendar, but it's tomorrow from 5 to 7.
5 to 7.
I have no report.
I have some, it's,
We would
Steve,
expect nothing less.
but it's been a quiet meeting. Steve and I had the pleasure of a meeting with APCA, APCA, and we talked about the city and upcoming plans. That Steve and I appreciate you attending that meeting with me. On Thursday, I'm going to go to DAT and talk with them. And I don't know, Steve, if you want to have any highlights from that meeting or?
From the ACPA meeting?
Yes. APCA.
Yeah, I think that it was pretty well attended, and we spent the mayor did most of the talking, and I just filled in if there were questions that I can help with. I think it was very well received, and I can't make the Thursday meeting because I have another, I will be meeting with COG and our consultant regarding the Angels Creek Trail, not program, but the Angels Creek Trail
Project.
The
project.
yeah.
It was a keyword, project at that same time.
Well, thank you. I also had an opportunity to attend the CPPA meeting and a few highlights. We've now gone to, because of Western and PG&E, the way they're setting their rates, we no longer can just identify our rates and set a rate for it as July to June. It's now, there's mid-year adjustments. Well, last year we came back and we set the rate at 12%. PG&E has come back and then with some contortions, the rate's gonna go up to 20 cents a kilowatt. But because of how they set the amount of money that we were gonna charge, we have about $800,000 that's gonna fall to the bottom line of the general fund. And so the member organizations decided to use that to offset the current, because the increase will go to 20 cents a kilowatt until July 1st. And so we're gonna use about $600,000 to maintain the current rate. And talking with Michelle, and Michelle, you know what, I appreciate you, but I got a newfound appreciation when you do a 3-year average. And so that helps us with the swings. I talked a lot about the CPPA meeting about, looking at a formula to set a rate that may not be the current rate, but at least it'll allow us, if we charge, say, like 15 cents a kilowatt this year, would build the rate stabilization fund, use the rate stabilization fund if the rate goes up to 20 cents a kilowatt. But try to maintain a consistent rate to our members. That's under discussion. There was also some talk about how the members at large are selected. Currently, the members at large are selected, and we are not one. We're a permanent member. They're selected by vote and nominations. Only about 25% of the member agencies participate in the election. They're talking about doing something similar that COG or LAFCO does for their public folks, to take nominations and then have the committee select. The most exciting thing that happened in that meeting was a conversation about community choice aggregation. If anybody's familiar with community choice aggregation, it is when a city or a county, in this case, our city, uses a third party to purchase electricity for all of its city members. And that rate is lower than what PG&E charges. So for just hydro generated power, it's about 7 cents a kilowatt, 7% lower now. If you go to sustainability like wind or solar, those rates tend to go up. But I think it's something that, if the council wants, we could explore. PG&E still does transmission, PG&E still does all the repairs, PG&E does the billing, and our citizens could opt to be a part of it or not be a part of it. But when we're talking about increases everywhere else, it might be great to look at, can we reduce? And there are a number of consultants. Tuolumne County and Sonora are currently using a consulting firm to see whether or not it will benefit them. They looked at it in 2012 and they found that it was going to be cost effective. So in a nutshell, a third party would purchase electricity from PG&E and then sell it to all of our citizens and businesses at a discounted rate. It might be something that we want to take a look at.
I wouldn't.
Yeah. Oh, also attended an all hazards planning meeting, and you mentioned heritage roads. Michael and I attended that meeting with Amy. It was a public meeting. I'm not sure if anyone showed up from the public. I don't think anyone was online. Amy did. It's okay, you would have been the public then.
Yeah.
Amy did an excellent job talking about the process. And one of the things that we did talk about again is heritage roads, about notifying, identifying the heritage roads, which we have identified, and then developing a plan of what we're gonna do, and then meet with the community members who live in that area to talk about it. Does this road become one way? What do we do? And I'm sure Scott will be a part of those discussions. And so at least we're gonna develop a plan on what we should do and how we should do that. So the next step with the all hazards plan is to go to the planning commission. And then after that, it's gonna come to us. Steve, anything else or?
No.
Again, I wanna thank everyone for allowing me to be mayor. It really has taken up and occupied all this free time that I But thank you, and that's all I have to report. Any future agenda items?
Calendar,
Oh, I'm sorry, calendar, was that next?
yeah.
Great job on the calendar, by the way. I love, you put the League of Cities in there and everybody's gonna be places.
Every year I'm trying to improve.
It's great. I already looked in October, I'm like, I gotta go to the League of Cities this year. I haven't been in a while.
And I'd like for you guys to give me feedback too, if there's meetings that I need to add, just let me know. Text me, call me, email me, however. So, and I'm gonna continue to add the full year,
Okay.
so.
Awesome,
Okay.
thank you.
Uh-huh.
Any questions? Hearing none, future agenda items. Scott?
The only other thing I have is, I don't know if it's a future agenda item. Some people caught me downtown, the Christmas swag across the road is still up. People were just wondering when those were gonna come down, and I'm.
Next Christmas.
Exactly. Fine, buddy.
It looks like a happy town.
Yeah, so, that's the only weird thing I have.
I wanna say they try to coordinate it when they're putting
I know, when they're
something
putting
up,
stuff
they
up,
take it down.
yeah.
So
I know,
That's
right, it's
right.
coordinated with the electric, the
Yes,
whole
uh-huh.
thing, and yeah.
I do have something. I met with Melissa Raggio today at the college, get caught up on things. And to look at in the city of Angels, I've always thought it would be fun to have, or not fun, well fun, but also important to have a golf cart roads to access different parts of the community.
Oh.
So if we talk about, circulation and connectivity and that kind of stuff, and create a situation, right now COG is running low on projects, and if we can do some kind of circulation study or connectivity study to incorporate golf carts throughout the town, that might be a good thing to look at.
Does that include side by sides?
Might include side by sides.
Yeah, okay.
But it-
At least
it'll
getting
be-
to the park
I
for the
think-
farmer's market.
Yeah.
It'll get to the park, farmer's market, businesses downtown. As a person who lives in Greenhorn, when we get in our golf cart, when we go to camps, when we get in our cars, we go to workings.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to be able to have an alternative, get in the golf cart in the summer evening, go downtown and.
Or if you
dinner.
don't even have to live in Greenhorn to own a golf cart then, you could.
You wouldn't have to.
I could have one here.
You have parking out in front of the grocery stores.
But don't, excuse me, don't they have to do street legal? Unless they make a separate golf court path.
I would-
golf court path.
I would defer that to the chief, but, it's my understanding that there is something about we're within a mile, hopefully as the crow flies, of a golf course community. And so there's a lot of
They
leniency.
can mix with normal traffic.
We don't have any,
Riding.
we don't have any streets with more than 25 mile an hour.
Tell some of the drivers from out of town about
Yeah.
that one.
But you try to sound, I'm sure whatever plan you want to try to stay off the highway.
And that's gonna be navigating the highway because it's Caltrans and CH.
Right. So it's easy to do the west side of town, but getting to the east side of town is gonna be harder.
All right, so agenda item.
I'd like us to look into it.
Do you want to bring it to COG first? Do you want to bring it to here? I guess here.
I think we have to go
Yeah, we
here
have to bring
first
it
and then
here.
we have to request cause.
We've also asked her to look at our sidewalks too, you know, and things, so, okay. Alex, anything else? Isabel?
I don't have anything, but that just brought up a question, which is I've seen some people parking in the red by the crosswalks. Are we ticketing those people when they park
Made
there?
aware of it happening.
So, okay.
We don't have a parking enforcement officer, so
Um,
it's, if somebody sees it or somebody complains, you know, that kind of stuff is usually based on a complaint that's received by the police department.
Got it, because that might
There's a
help.
partly
with
with park.
that.
well, and a new law passed July, or January 1st about you can't park within a certain amount of feet of a crosswalk now.
That's one of the red.
Even if it's not marked, yeah.
Okay.
Caroline?
Caltrans update. I haven't had one in a
No,
long time.
that's true. It's been about a year.
Mhm.
I think we had a couple different managers and stuff in there too.
Oh, yeah, they did have.
Yeah,
some
they have a new
changes.
district.
I have a contact for you.
Yeah, first time.
Can I ask, what is that?
Oh, right, so we have some upcoming projects that I'd love to hear, how, you know, like what's the timeline, what's going on with them, so,
Okay.
Projects? There was the Main Street,
Main
curb
Street,
gutter sidewalks
yep.
coming down this way,
There's the
there was going
roundabout.
out the other direction towards
Foundry Lane.
Foundry Lane.
I do have information on Foundry Lane, I don't know if I've shared it at the council meeting or not, but just on your comment about Caltrans project, so I got Main Street curb, the roundabout, and Foundry Lane. So the Foundry Lane punch through from Highway 4 has been on the books for a very long time, and I guess we've been working very, very long to try to get that through. Caltrans is now committed, so what's holding it up is Caltrans has to do an appraisal of the property before they will grant the easement or the right-of-way or whatever that would allow that to happen. They've now committed to a schedule to get that done, and it's January 30th is the date by which they will complete it's gotta be a Caltrans specific appraisal. Can't just be any appraiser. I guess they have their own appraisers. And so the appraisal will be done by January 30th. There is some kind of hearing that's going to happen around March. And the final documents to make sure that everything is done by Caltrans, they've committed to a June date. So there is finally, after years and years and years, some movement out on the Foundry Lane issue.
So Steve, I'm not sure if we want to add it to our February 4th meeting, knowing that there's going to be the water rate increase on the agenda. But Scott did ask about looking at our condition of our roads, and you were going to get together with the engineer and then prioritize and give us a report. And I was talking or texting with Chris O'Flynn regarding who repaints the lines in the road, and he told me sometimes we do it internally and sometimes we sub that out. I'd also like to look at that as we look at this report, what roads are in dire need of restriping and things.
Yeah, I do have a little bit of an update on that, and I do plan to bring some type of information about the overall plan for the roads. And so, an update I got today is that, Gardner Way, I was hoping to get that, if not done, at least started in December, but the contractor that we're using for that wasn't available in December. And they said, well, let's wait until after the weather gets done and let's look at somewhere around spring-ish, May, June. Well, they contacted us either today or earlier this week and said, we have some time available in March. So weather permitting, the contractor's gonna start on that chip sealing, followed by the speed tables in March. So that's an update there. For the condition of the roads, I did look into the system that we currently have that I was told kind of catalogs our roads and then has like a comment next to each road. This road needs to be restriped. This road's got a bunch of potholes, so on. I forgot the number of roads, but we had, all of our roads are listed in this system. And let's just say there are 100 roads. About 6 of them have been updated since 2024. All of the rest of them have not been updated since 2021. So any information that I would bring you from that system is not current information because it's literally things like Main Street needs to be restriped. But that's now 4-year-old information. So we don't have a
Probably
current.
hasn't changed.
Yeah.
It could be, maybe, you know. So I can bring you what we have if you're interested in that, but just know that if I do, it's 4-year-old information.
I think there was a report that I remember seeing that gave a whole overview of our entire road system.
It's probably from that
So that
system.
was probably that same exact report. And it was it was a nice report.
And then, I think I did talk with you about maybe doing a study session on our strategic plan and setting goals for this upcoming year.
Yeah, so we still are currently within the time frame of our existing strategic plan, and we should continue on with that. I mean, at some point, we'll need to update our strategic plan, but in addition to our strategic plan, if you would like, new council, new mayor, we could develop a 1-year operational plan that would allow staff to focus on, these are the things, just broad general categories, roads, or, Caltrans projects, or you pick your 3 to 5 things that gives staff some direction on what you want to accomplish in the next year that will be in line with your strategic plan, but it's not necessarily the strategic plan. It's a more specific document that would guide staff in prioritizing projects because they will then know what the will of the council is for the next year.
Thank you. And then Michelle and Steve and Rose, during our rate study workshop, is it possible to list our current CIP projects that we're gonna utilize?
We're actually gonna
You are-
have not only in the PowerPoint, but we'll have a larger, poster board up here, and we're gonna actually, use a map of the city and pinpoint where those will be happening, and then there'll be the list of the plan.
An anticipated start date and
Mm-hmm.
anticipated
Correct.
completion date?
Mhm.
And then we'll also talk about the automatic meter readers also?
Yeah, cause that's in the CIP.
And then I just have one more thing. We are currently, Steve and I are working on a state of the city presentation that we will make. And when I brought this up to Debbie Pani, she suggested, I was just gonna sit here and read it, but Debbie suggested that we do more of an outreach and bring the 3 folks sitting in the audience here to listen to it. But anyways, if you wanna give an update, Steve.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So the mayor asked me to start the process of a state of the city. So I've asked all the department heads to give me input on just if you had a voice to speak to the council and the public, what would you want the council and the public to know about your department in terms of what was accomplished last year and what you expect to accomplish next year. So I have that information from all of our departments, putting it all together. We were planning on just making it a document that's read at a council meeting. My experience in other areas is that the State of the City could be just a public event that we invite whoever is interested in coming, and the mayor would typically, council members are obviously invited, they're sitting there on the stage. Mayor would deliver the State of the City address, and I want to thank Debbie Ponte. She did reach out to me, I think today, asking what she could do to help make this happen. So I plan to get in contact with her this week to start working out the details of that.
You know, one of our focuses this year is to improve our communication. And I think the State of the City starts with that, you know, getting it in the paper. You know, Carolyn and I were talking about, you know, maybe some PR intern or do something to help staff just get the word out. You know, I think the more that we can talk, the more we can make sure that the right information is being disseminated. And sometimes it helps. So thank you. Anyone else? Any other comments?
I got one thing on your State of the Union, or State of the City.
Yeah.
When I was mayor, and maybe contact them, Calaveras County Chamber of Commerce, they did like a yearly, and I think that supervisor and the mayor, it was a really well-received evening over there too. Just you could piggyback on that too.
Thank you. So with that, are there any other comments from staff, council, or the public? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Vito,
Aye.
Rolio,
Aye.
Moncada,
Aye.
Shalente,
Aye.
Serrano.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, folks. Thank you, Sam.